Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today we're checking out another mini PC. This one is from Minis Forum, and the highlights are a 10 nanometer 10th generation Intel i3 processor, and we also have Thunderbolt 3. In the box we have a power supply, there is a HDMI cable, we're getting a DisplayPort cable, a VESA mounting bracket to mount this on the back of your monitor, and there's a little adapter here. You need this to install a 2.5-inch SATA drive. So the machine is just under 14 centimeters wide, just a touch over 12 centimeters deep, and just under 4 centimeters tall. It also comes with a little booklet, and especially if you want to upgrade the internal storage, it has some illustrations how to do that. At the front we have a built-in microphone, power button which has a blue LED. This is the Thunderbolt 3 USB-C connector with 40 gigabits per second of transfer rate. It can drive 5K 60 Hertz. We have two USB 3 Gen 2 ports, and this is a little reset just in case something goes wrong with the BIOS. You can clear the CMOS. On the side we have a micro SD card reader. Unfortunately this one seems to be connected through USB 2 only, so we're getting rather slow speeds. In contrast, if you use a USB 3 card reader, you will get much better performance, so that's a little bit of a shame. And here is a headset port, so that one is TRRS for headphone and microphone in a single plug. On this side we just have a little vent for cooling. At the back, we unfortunately only get USB 2 speed for these two ports. We're getting 2 gigabit Ethernet ports with chipset from Realtek, HDMI 2.0 and DisplayPort 1.4. And here goes the power supply and Kensington security lock. The HDMI 2.0, the datasheet says it goes up to 4K 60, whereas the DisplayPort can go up to 5K 60. At the bottom we have two threads here for the VESA mount. Now below here are screws to open the unit, and I had a look in the manual and it's actually quite a tricky process. You have to remove the motherboard even to install additional storage. So out of the box this unit comes with 16 gigabytes of RAM, DDR4 3200 in dual channel configuration, but that's soldered onto the mainboard, so not upgradable. It also comes with a M.2 NVMe with 256 gigabytes of storage. You can install an additional M.2 SATA SSD, and you can also install an additional 2.5-inch SATA drive. The machine had Windows 10 Professional pre-installed and activated with a digital license. You can do a clean Windows 10 installation. You just download the image from the Microsoft website and it will also automatically activate the license. Let's talk about the CPU. It's an Intel i3 1005 G1, which unfortunately is a dual-core processor, so 2 cores and 4 threads. In 2020 that is questionable. It's got a base clock of 1.2 gigahertz and it can turbo up to 3.4. But when you're doing something that's demanding on the processor, it will only run at 3.4 gigahertz for a very short while. After 20 minutes of a stress test, the CPU runs at 2.8 gigahertz. In regards to temperature and noise, when you load the processor, it will go straight to around 90 degrees and the fan will turn really fast and quite audible. The clock speed will then go from 3.4 to 2.8, so it will slow down. The temperatures will eventually go down to around 80 degrees and the fan speed will also go down a little bit, but you can definitely hear the fan. It's a little fan, so yeah, maybe it's time for them to install a larger fan into these machines. It's definitely a distraction, and you can hear the fan speed ramp up and down if you using the machine quite heavily. Now let's have a look at some benchmarks. In CPU set we have 1144 for the multi-core and 431 for the single core performance. The single core performance is good. So browsing the internet and installing apps, all that happens really quickly and responsive, but the multi-core score is fairly low. The previous Minis Forum PC with an AMD chip, which had 4 cores and 8 threads, is twice as fast basically. we have Cinebench R15, 327, which again is very low. In R20, we're getting 768. And in R23, we're getting 1,974. And now let's have a look at gaming performance. In Cloudgate, 7,653. In Ice Storm, 62,098. In Skydiver, 5,024. In Night Raid, 5,645. And in Firestrike, 1,448. So these 3D Mark numbers are not that great. Let's have a look at some games. Here we have Strange Brigade with the Vulkan API. 720p and the low details, and we're getting around 30 FPS. So straight away we can tell that this is not a machine for gaming. Let's try another game, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. 720p lowest details, and after 5 minutes sitting on the loading screen, the game still wouldn't start, so I gave up. It seems to just take forever. So let's try some older games. Here we have Dirt 3, 720p lowest details. Yep, runs silky smooth. What about 1080p? Yes, still runs fairly good, but at 1080p with medium details we are already under 60 FPS, and Dirt 3 is really quite an old game. Let's go back in time a little bit more. Half-Life 2, yes, we're getting over 60 FPS at 1080p with maximum details, so older games do run okay on the machine. Now I must say that the compatibility was excellent. All the games I tried work. Doesn't matter if it's DirectX 11, 12, 9, Vulkan API, OpenGL. It actually ran all the games, but especially compared to the AMD APUs for gaming, this CPU is not recommended. Where this machine does really well is for media playback. So if you want a little media PC connected to your 4K television and a CPU and a GPU that accelerates all the video files, this machine is for you. Now I don't have a 4K TV, but I had a look at other reviews of this unit, and they tested 4K files, 60 FPS, HDR, and this machine does it all without dropping any frames. I had a quick look in the BIOS, and again, unlike with the AMD Ryzen mini PCs, there's nothing you can tweak. Everything is locked out. You have no option to change the RAM speed or the timings or the power limit. It's all locked down. We have the latest Intel AX200 wireless adapter compatible with 802.11ax or Wi-Fi 6. Unfortunately, in my home network, and I always test in my computer lab at the same desk, I found the wireless performance to be quite poor, to be honest. So what I did, I plugged in a USB Wi-Fi adapter, and that worked much better. So that was a surprise. The previous mini PC with the Ryzen CPU also had excellent Wi-Fi performance, so I'm not quite sure why this one is not up to speed. In terms of power consumption, I saw 9 watts sitting idle on the desktop, and running some games, so a CPU stress test, 27 watts. And finally, there is no such thing as a bad mini PC, just a bad price. And this is where it gets interesting. So this launched through an Indiegogo campaign, and the machine with 16 gigs of RAM and a 256 gigabyte SSD is selling for $399 including free shipping. But it appears that that promotion has ended, and the price might actually be higher. To be honest, at this point, I don't know what the price of this machine is at the time of shooting this video, so just have a look in the video description, and you basically have to judge the value for yourself. In terms of performance, with a dual core processor and Intel graphics, this is not a powerhouse, so you can't do really things like 3D rendering or 4K video editing and running the latest and greatest games. It's not the machine for that. It is good for the video playback, using it as a media center, and the highlight is definitely the Thunderbolt 3. If you have devices that can take advantage of the 40 gigabits per second of transfer rate, then maybe this machine is of interest to you. Apart from that, it worked fairly well. A few flaws like the USB 2 ports in the back. It's 2020, that shouldn't be happening anymore, and also the card reader only connected through USB 2. It will take a long time to copy across big photos or video files. But yeah, otherwise the machine worked fine. The fan is definitely audible. As soon as you do something that stresses the CPU, the temperatures will go up quite quickly, and the fan will ramp up also quickly. Although the temperatures hit 90-91 degrees, I don't think it's an issue. Mobile CPUs can run quite hot, but it's definitely not a machine I would use to run heavy workloads 24/7. Maybe something like a small home server, but I see this mostly as an office machine, running Office, browsing the web, and like I said earlier, connecting it to your TV and then getting a wireless keyboard with a touchpad and just using it as a media center. It should work really well for that. My personal opinion, I prefer the Ryzen mini PCs. The performance was twice as fast and the video performance also much stronger. You can play more games and they don't cost too much more compared to this unit. So yeah, that's it guys. Let me know what you think of this mini PC. It's really interesting. In the past, I have reviewed mini PCs and they all had Intel CPUs, but yeah, it's changing. The mini PCs I look forward to reviewing now have AMD APUs, and that's really interesting. So I'm curious what you think about the developments with the mini PCs and which direction they are going. And yeah, that's it for this video guys. I will be using this unit for a while, so if you have any questions or you want me to test something, let me know. I will do so and then just answer in the comments. Yep. If you found the video interesting, be sure to subscribe to the channel, give it a like, leave a comment, share it with your friends, and I shall see you soon with another one.